So even like once you start the stream, if you don't go live, the recording doesn't work. And it happened to me one time last year where I was like 30 minutes into my like spiel and realized I didn't record it. I'm like, how important is this really to record? And I ended up going back and just like flew through the rest of it, but I haven't forgot yet this year. So knock on wood. Welcome to class 5, quick table calculations. So as of tonight, as of right now, we're officially over halfway done. We got quick table calcs tonight, which is essentially just the easy version of everything we learned last night. So that's gonna be exciting. Night 6 is going to be the analytics pane. So like bringing in like forecasts and trend lines, clusters, all sorts of fancy data science stuff, which is drag and drop really easy. Night 7 is going to be parameters and like dashboard action. So if you remember the like preview I showed you guys last week, how you click on something and update over here, we'll go through that night 7, and then night 8 will come in and just build our final project, which is essentially just a free for all using everything we learned up to this point and building a pretty little dashboard, publishing it, and calling it good. So very, very exciting stuff. We're getting really close and we've covered a lot already. It's crazy. So like I mentioned, tonight we're going to talk through quick table calculations. But before that, we're actually going to skip the storytelling tonight. I do appreciate everyone sending me the homework. But for tonight, I'm going to be doing the storytelling and show you guys how to connect to live data. So that'll be the first 20 or 30 minutes or so. We'll just be kind of watching me do this. And then the homework time, we are going to let you all create your own data set and build something off of that. So that'll be kind of the bookends of tonight, and then the boring part in the middle will be the quick tables calcs, but we'll go through them as we get there. So I'm actually going to skip most of the overview and just dive in. So I would say a little preface before we show how this works. 99% of the things I build are connected to some sort of live data set. We'll be connecting to CRM. We use Salesforce for our CRM. That will automatically pull in data, how many deals we're getting, how many people are canceling, things like that. We use a tool called Gainsight for our CS side of the house. So how many tasks and trainings and meetings are we doing day by day? Everything is automatically updated. Up till this point in the class, everything we've worked off of is a static data set, which is actually how I start most of my dashboard building, because it's tough to build something if it's constantly changing. So typically you'll start with just something static, build out kind of the exploratory data analysis, figure out what you want to build long term, and then connect it to real data, publish it to Tableau, and then it's just kind of off to the running. So it's really, there's not a whole lot of difference between the two, but it is important to understand kind of that second step and how to get something live out into Tableau. So like I said, in the real world of the workforce, whatever you want to call it, most of the time, this stuff will be coming from like a SQL server, or Google BigQuery, or some sort of tool that your company uses to store the data. Snowflake is getting really hot right now. But tonight we are going to use Google Sheets, I think is what they call it. So I went ahead and created one. The way this is going to work is I am going to start it off, build the dashboard, publish it. And then I'm going to send you guys all the link, and you guys are going to update the data set live, and then we'll just watch the dashboard kind of populate as that stuff comes in. So no need to do anything right now, but the reason I chose this specifically is we are out of snacks. We have Chex Mix and Oreos left. It's a really sad state of the union in the snack corner. So I called Nate and said we need to get some more snacks. He just said, ask what people wanted, and he'll bring those on Wednesday. So we'll do kind of a 2-for-1 here where you guys can let me know what your favorite snack is, and we can show a really cool Tableau example. So this is just out in my Google Drive here. I'm going to create a couple of example things right now. I like Cheetos, and we will go my dog TiVo. He likes bones. Okay, so that's enough to get us started for now. We're going to go ahead and open up Tableau Public.
Are we going to end up with bones back there?
Maybe. Go for it. Yeah. I actually did joke with my fiance. She has to obviously deal with TiVo while I'm gone. She's like, maybe just taking a class tonight. I'm like, that would be a mess. So everything we've done up to this point has been Microsoft Excel or a text file, right? I think a couple of you connected to JSON files at one point. notice how these are all under the to a file. So these are all going to be your static data sets that are just coming from a file that you download. In the to a server section here, I have no idea what OData is, but we also have Google Drive. In Tableau Public, your options are pretty limited. I will show you what my Tableau server looks like so you can see what some of the other options are if you're using a paid version of Tableau. So if I were to open up my Tableau server and I go to a server here and click more, these are all the different things that you can connect to inside of Tableau desktop or Tableau server. So you can see there's like the Databricks there, you got Dropbox there, we have Salesforce over here, Postgres, SQL Server, a ton of different things. So definitely your only option isn't Google Sheets, but for Tableau Public, unfortunately, it is. So we're gonna go click on Google Drive. It is going to pop up and ask me to authenticate. Let me drag this over here. Hopefully it'll let me do this. So essentially what I'm doing right now is just signing into my Google account, and it will use those credentials to update and embed my Tableau connection so that Tableau is able to read. So if you want to sign in to Tableau, continue, and we're going to allow it to read all my data, which is kind of scary. So in your example, make sure if you have like a personal Google account, use that, not your work one. Although it's not really a big deal either way. So inside here now, I have all of my Google Drive things. Most of them are from college. But I do have DataViz Spring 2024 Class 5 example. So I'm going to open that up. And inside my sheet 1 here, just like normal, I have my data. So if I would have connected this 5 minutes ago, there wouldn't have been anything in here. But I updated it. I have Charlie Berksall, Cheetos, Debo Berksall, Bones. We're going to make this really, really simple. We're just going to pull over, let's do 2 sheets. Let's do one where we have first name, last name, snack, something real simple. And then in case people vote for multiple things, let's do a second one where it's just favorite snack and a count of how many people have said that. Let's call this snack leaderboard. We're gonna toss these both just in a dashboard real quick. Nothing crazy. A little bit better. Easy enough. Now, when I go to save this, it's gonna have me sign in like normal. Remember my password, that's huge. So the only thing different than just a normal, normally when we save to Tableau Public, is it's gonna say, have this little checkbox here, where it says keep my data in sync with the data source and embed credentials. So this is essentially telling Tableau Public to not just pull up whatever I published today, but every time someone loads it, go and grab the latest data, keep it up to sync, and show that refresh data right there. So I'm gonna hit save. And then go once again, ask me to, this is embedding my credentials. So the first time I logged in, it was just saying sign in to Google Drive. This is saying now that I'm publishing it, sign in again, and this will embed those credentials so that it can pull data whenever it needs to. And then it should be popping up. There we go. Here's our snack example. So really boring right now. At the bottom, it says data refreshed as of 6:13 p.m. By default, this isn't actually live because Tableau Public would just get hammered with like API request calls constantly trying to pull in data. So by default, it will sync every morning and update the data. But if you want it to update like we will tonight, you just click request data refresh and it will refresh in Tableau server or desktop or online or anything like that. You can set it to be live, or you can set refresh schedules every half hour, daily, or anything like that. But now to see how this updates, I'm going to send the example here. Anyone with a link can edit. Done. Sorry, copy the link. Copy link. I'm going to send that in the Slack channel real quick. I'm not sure how great it'll work if it's all updating it at once, so be patient if you're in the same cell as someone else. But go out there, add your name, and 2 or 3 or 4 of your favorite snacks. We'll take like 2 minutes here for everyone to go in and update that.
This beat. All right, some delectable snacks in here. Now, big reveal. We go back to our dashboard. We go in here, go request data refresh. So let's refresh the page. Oh. Give it a second. This is really anticlimactic. Mention the same thing. Well, it should be updating. Try it here. Well, on the non-public version, you can see everything populate based on the changes we just made. Nobody else voted for bones. Really interested what Austin sandwich crackers are. Those sound delectable. I'm not sure why this isn't updating. We will check back in later on tonight. It's really lame. Well, sorry for the really anticlimactic big reveal, but essentially that's how it works. You go in, you update data, just like we did here, and then as that updates, the data automatically populates inside of Tableau here. So if there were, be thinking about this throughout the rest of the course, because like I said, this is what the assignment is going to be for tonight. If you wanted to set up a task list of all the things you need to accomplish in a day, and your manager wants to know like how that's going, you shoot him the Tableau public link. He doesn't have to worry about anything else. You can go and check done as you go throughout the day, then automatically that populates, so they wouldn't have to worry about continuing to message you how those tasks are going. Sales leaderboard, I showed you guys that last time. As new sales or something come in, it can populate here. If you wanted to do, I know Ronnie was asking about like a Gantt chart for like projects you have done, not done, and see how that progresses. Fitness journey, budget, and you go and enter in your expenses every day and track it throughout the month. You can easily put like a date as one of the rows and see how that populates as you go. So that's gonna be the homework, is come up with some sort of live thing you wanna track, set up a Tableau public dashboard, and build that out. But the cool thing is nothing else changes between having a static file that we're used to working with, a live file like we just did here. So it's a really simple extra step to take your data viz stuff to the next level. Any questions about either the process of how we got there or like working with live data in general?
So just to hook it up through the Google file, you just went through Tableau Public's other server or data sources?
Yep.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so really the only extra step is just first creating the data source, which is just in Google Drive, and then instead of clicking on an Excel for your data connections, click on Google Drive.
Yep. Cool.
So is that page, the like data viz screen example, is that just, did that come from the Tableau public after you like created that first one and then put the data in? How does that page pop up? Like,
This one,
yeah, that just pops up?
to do this, I just went to like my Google Sheets. So like if you just go to Google Docs or whatever, you can choose
okay.
Sheets, and then I just created a new one here and then set that to you guys to plug in. So this is what you'll do and create whatever data you want to work with.
Yeah,
And then when you go to connect to Tableau Public, it's just right up in the Google Drive
okay.
section. Yes?
I wasn't watching your screen. When you give Tableau access, does it give it access to that folder or your entire drive?
Your entire drive. But when you publish it, you only have credentials for the sheet that you connected to. But it is something to be cognizant of. And if you have a work account, don't use that one.
Well, it works on personal as well,
Ah,
since I own my own company, so
fair.
that's good.
One thing, I guess to call out is the only reason I did Google Drive is because I wanted to be able to share it with all you guys to kind of collab on this. You can also do, let's just do another example real quick. The same, and I think I've actually mentioned this before, the same workflow, like technically when you connect to an Excel, it is a live connection. You're just working off of a static file. But if I were to do something like, okay, create Excel, done, save this. So this is just a plain old Excel. Save this in my documents. I'm going to go ahead and keep this open in the background. Let's go into Tableau Public. Connect to Microsoft Excel, which we've done before. What about it? Okay, so here's my data. I have my tasks. I have if they're done or not. So I created Excel. Now I've connected the data. So I can go back into my Excel. Mark that as done now. Save this. Now, if I go back into Tableau and say data refresh, it will actually go and pull the most recent data and then pop up here. So even though it's not a Google Drive or a live, like collaborating editing thing, if you're just planning on editing it yourself, goes so for tonight's homework, you can definitely use just Excel instead of Google Drive if you don't want to give access to everybody. The same thing that if I publish this to server, and then update my Excel. Actually, I don't know if that would work. Let's see. I don't think it gives you an option to embed the data.
Yeah, I guess that's a good question. When you set up that that Google Sheet file, did you have to do it kind of in a standalone file?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that would be the downside of using an Excel is when you publish it to Tableau Public, it doesn't give you the option to embed the data. So if you wanted this to update live, even our stupid example didn't. You guys needed to wait longer before requesting the refresh. But it will update automatically in here. So if you're just using it for a personal tracker or something like that, you can easily do this. Any other questions? Cool. Well, we will have time at the end to create our own personal tracker of whatever we want to track. You guys will have the opportunity to play around. If you don't feel comfortable connecting to Google Doc, you do not have to. You can just use their Excel file. Otherwise, if you want to publish something live, I can come around and help you connect to the Google Sheet. All right, now for the main kind of meat and potatoes. After publishing that, is quick table calculations. So last week we talked about calculated fields, the different level of details, some window functions. Some of these, it should say most of these, plus countless other ones are available in a no-code feature called quick table calcs. So you may have noticed last week when we were doing some of these calculated fields, it popped up in the bottom right corner and said, hey, this is a default table calculation. This is essentially Tableau trying to tell you there's no need to do all this extra work. We can do this automatically for you. So, go full screen here. I will pull up Tableau in a second and walk through some of these. But essentially, you just click on whatever field you want to, like last week, we would have created a calculated field off of. We've messed around with some of the default properties before, but there's this little drop down that says quick table calculation. And it gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 options by default. If there's a date, it gives you another 4. These are the 7 things that we're going to walk through how to build tonight. So, for example, let's pull in our Superstore. Let's go. Category, subcategory, sales. Last week, you remember, there's no need to follow along here, even though I know you guys will. We did this fixed calculation across the category and did some sales. Call this category sales. So remember, we got our sales right here, and then we just summed up the sales across the entire category. And the reason we did that was to create a calculated field and did sales divided by category sales. sum of sales by category. All right, we're just going to do percent of category. All right, we created this thing. And then we got this fancy new calculated field, which is taking 114,000 divided by the 742,000, giving 15.48. The other way, the quick table calc way of doing this, is if I go into just my sum of sales right here, and I click the drop down, do quick table calculation, I can do a percent of total, and then this will automatically update into a percentage. Now, by default, what it's doing is it's doing, when it says total, it means total. So it's looking across all of these. Let's bring this our sum of sales back up here. It's looking across all of these and doing the percentage there. And we'll cover all this. You can go into compute using, and then it gives you a few options. So let's talk about what these options are. Right now, we have a table. And the table is going, your options are either table or pane. The table is the entire table, as it looks like right here. If we had multiple fields going across the top, we could do table across, and it would sum up all of these and give you the percentage across the four across the top. But we just have our measure names. We don't have anything showing up here. So it's doing the entire table. The panes are essentially the sub tables. So we have a furniture pane right here, we have a supply pane right here, and technology pane. So if we compute using pane down, then you can see that this quick table calc that we just created matches the calculated field way that we did last week. And it was a matter of 2 clicks as opposed to creating 2 separate fields and bringing them on right there. So we'll get rid of these for the sake of simplicity. But this is a quick table calculation that Tableau does by default that we didn't have to do anything for. Tracking with me so far? Cool. So let's talk through some of these other ones. Let's say we wanted to do we'll just work our way down the list here, a running total. What this is going to do is take the first number and add it up to whatever's above it, so it's nothing, so it's the same thing. This is gonna take this number and add it to whatever's above it, so we get 328,000 plus 114,000, because it's 434. And this one's gonna take that one right there, multiply by that, or add to that. If we wanted to do that using a calculated field, we have to do all sorts of different things, some lookup functions, multiple calculated fields off of that. But this is the running total. Now again, notice how this is going all the way down across the table. If we wanted to switch that to just for each category, we do compute using, again, see how it defaults the table down. We just want pane down. So now we get our running total here, and then when it moves into the office supplies, it resets. With me so far? Cool. Next one, difference. So this is going to take these, the two numbers and compute the difference between them. So I think we did this last week using that lookup function, lookup sum minus 1, and it pulled in whatever the previous one and we calculated the difference. This is just doing that by default, so it looks at 328,000. That is 213,000 more than 114. This 91,000 is 236,000 less than the 328, so on and so forth. Again, this is doing a table down, so it's comparing appliances, 107 to tables. So we're gonna go and we're gonna change that. Using pane down. We'll go through some of those other options in a bit, but I just want to go through the basics first. Okay, running total difference. If we want to show that same difference as a percentage, so instead of this being $200,000 or 200,000 more 328, 300, or 300,000 more than 114. We want to show that as a percentage, it's 185% difference. I won't go through the compute using paint down because I think you guys get it for now. Percent of total, we already did. Rank. So what rank is doing, this one is actually really beneficial if you want to order different things by greatest to smallest, or something like that. But what this one is doing is just ranking across our entire data set right here what the greatest sum of sales is, which gets ranked as number 1, and what the smallest sum of sales is, which is fasteners, which is ranked as number 17. So handy, we'll go through some examples here in a bit. Percentile, this is essentially doing the same thing, but as a percentile of the total. So I'm sure when you guys were in college, you were always in the 100th percentile from your grades. That's doing that same thing. So instead of saying this is ranked as number 1, this is in the 100th percentile, it's the 93rd percentile, so on and so forth. And then the very last one is a moving average. This is just going to, as you work your way down, show what our average is across all of these numbers. So it starts with obviously 114, and then as things get lower or higher, the average automatically adjusts based on that. So those are the main kind of 7. Go through some different examples in a bit, but do those make sense, at least how they function and what they're trying to do? Cool. So we are going to pull this up. Open up Tableau. We're going to kind of go back and forth between teaching and the hands-on tonight. And we are going to create a table with every single one of those, just with the category and subcategory. So go ahead, connect your data, obviously, bring in category, subcategory, get your table, and let's just go through and create these kind of one by one. I'll give you a quick second to get everything connected, and we'll go through and do it together. Give me a quick thumbs up when you guys got your data connected.
Yeah.
The second sum of sales that you have the measure values, what is that supposed to have?
Yeah, we're gonna go through, we're gonna create them all.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I think, by default, the first thing you pull in just sales, it'll give you this. So this is where we'll all start. Unfortunately, you can't bring in like multiple things at once. You kind of got to go one at a time. But we'll do it one at a time. At least we'll do the first few together, and then I'll let you guys do the rest. So bring in sales, do quick table calc, and we're just going to go with a running total. And then go in, click compute using, you click pane down. Then you should be able to bring in your original sales again. Get your table going. And now we should have these 2 things to start with.
How'd you get the 2 columns?
I just click show me.
Oh, show me. Okay.
So I answer 90% of the time.
I should have known better.
Let me know when you guys have these 2 things going.
Yeah.
Okay. Want me to call over?
No, I'm just behind you.
Oh, no worries.
And so, okay, so sorry, you have sum of sales, and then. Why does it keep doing this?
So, okay.
I like couldn't open calculate field process before I started. Okay. Okay, so sum of sales.
So drag on the text, and then your drop down. And then up again, and do compute using, and down.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Now you drag sales back on the text. Both. Table. There we go.
Okay.
All right, so then we're going to, in the sum of sales that we already have on there, hit the arrow down. Again, quick table calc, hit difference. And then once again, we're gonna click into that and do compute using pane down. So now we should have our running total here, our difference here. And then again, we're gonna have to do this every time, bring sales back over to the text. Whoops, bring sales over to measure values, what I meant to say. And then I'm probably always just gonna keep it first just for simplicity's sake. And now we have our 3. Now, I am going to, as we continue to build these out, let's go ahead and take up the entire view, just so we have a little bit more room. Now, we talked about this a little bit before with like tooltips and stuff, but Tableau is very literal with the labels that it gives it. So this is probably not what I would want to show in a table that I build out. So if I right click into this, it'll give me an option to edit the alias. And let's just call this literally just difference.
Cool.
And then same thing here, edit alias, let's call this running sum. All right, now if we're gonna build our third one, again, we're gonna start from just the regular sum of sales every time, just like in our measure values. Click into that, quick table calc. Now we're on a percent difference. And again, we're gonna show that pane down. And then we can bring our sales right back on here. Our sales, let's edit this alias. Let's call this percent difference. Now we have our sales, percent difference, running sum, and we're just going to continue to do this for all 7 of those. Hopefully you guys are kind of getting in a rhythm now. So if we want to update this, quick table calc, rank, keep using pane down, change the alias.
So I'm gonna go ahead and keep building these out. I'm gonna stop talking because I feel like I'm distracting. If you have questions, raise your hand, I'll come around. Otherwise, once we get done with this, move on to the next step.
And for all of these, are we computing using the pane down?
Yep.
Excuse me. Good in here, I think so. Yeah. Good.
All right, I think most of you had gotten most of these done. So now we're going to, these were all obviously very simple, just one field going straight down. I want to talk through some of the different ways to compute using. So let's bring in our same category, our same subcategory. And then let's bring our sales onto the text. So this is what we had before. Well, let's say our table has multiple dimensions in which multiple columns or rows. So let's bring in region to the columns. So now we have a table. We have a table going down and a table going across, but we also have multiple panes inside of that. So if I wanted to click in here, do a quick table calc, and we'll just do select difference, and then bring our sales back over to. So here we have our sales, just like before. Let's change the order. and then our difference. So notice how this entire first column is blank here. That means that it's probably trying to do a difference from something that's missing, and the only thing missing would be a column this way. So if we click into this and do compute using, it's probably doing a table across here. Yep, and it is, because things didn't change. If I clicked into compute using table down, notice how this shifted, and now our blank difference column, or our blank difference box is the very first row. So that means that it's going, comparing 24,000 to nothing, 85 to 24, and there's our difference. 96 to 43, there's our difference. But it can get even more intricate than just up or down. We have compute using table across, then down. So here, notice our blank column is just in the very, or our blank square is just the very first one, because it's going across the table and then down the table. So this is comparing 24,000 to nothing, 43,000 to 24, so that's 19,000 more. 10,000 to 43, so that's 32,000 less. 36 to 10, so that's 25,000 less. And then it goes to 85 to 25, which is 49,000 less. So see how it's going across then down. We could go down then across. And we're not going to go through all these examples, but I just wanted to show out how the level of granularity that you have to work with. Here we go all the way down and then back up to this one. We could do just pane across, which won't give us anything because we only have, right, each one of these little lines is a pane. So there's nothing to compare it to. We just have central in here. If we did pane down, this is what we did in our last example. So everything stays the same. Pane across, then down, same thing. It's going across. So these are all blank. But then it starts going down, so it's comparing this one to the one above it, this one to the one above it, so on and so forth. So a lot of different things. When you click into the bottom four, you never really have to worry about those. Those are using the individual fields to set your table, but they'll ultimately result in the same output, so I never even really think about it. But yeah, a ton of, I guess, freedom to tweak and slice and dice your data any way that you wanted to. If we tried to, which is why we had to do last week first before this week, if we tried to create calculated fields to do these things, I would have no idea even where to start. So the quick table calculations are the bread and butter for creating things that you couldn't do inside the data itself. Any questions on quick table calculations? Panes, tables, across, down. High level makes sense. Cool. We are going to, let's take a quick 10-minute break, and then we're going to come back and work with some dates and some more quick table calculations. So let's be back at 7:02 p.m. 7:02 on the dot. Just going to go through similar type things, quick table calculations with some dates, kind of the last three options in that drop down that I showed you. Don't think it will take too long, maybe 20-ish minutes. Get through that, have 40 at the end for homework stuff, and should be out of here by 8. So I said we were gonna go fast tonight. I think we can do it, because the last 2 nights will not be fast. We gotta take advantage of it while we have it. So let's go ahead and create let's bring our order date into our columns. I do want to take a quick second. We've kind of briefly touched on a lot of the different date options before. I want to talk through them a little bit more in depth. So by default, pretty much every time you drag a date over, whether it's a filter or a column or a parameter or anything like that, it's going to default to year, which we've seen before. The first kind of 5 options here are essentially just pulling out just date parts. So if you want to pull out just the year, just the quarter, just the month, or just the day, right? You can click into these and see how that updates. So this is just saying January. Inside of this, it would have 2015 January, 2016 January, 2017, so on and so forth. Same thing for the day here. You're just going to have up to 31. But we're going to go ahead and keep this by default just at year. If we were to hit this plus button to expand it, it is automatically going to bring in the next layer down of the date part. So we have quarter, if we expand it, we have the month, if we expand it, we have the day, and you can go ahead and roll it right back up with the minus sign as well. The cool thing about that is when you publish something out into Tableau public or server or wherever you publish it, your end user is going to have that same ability. If they hover over the whatever axis that your data is on with hitting that little plus button, you can go and see your quarters here, you can plus it and go on and see your months, so on and so forth, or you can go ahead and roll it back up that way. So those date parts are always going to be discrete, so they're going to be a blue pill, they're going to be one single pane or whatever you want to call it inside of your different columns here. Your next option here is going to have that same level of granularity, but it is going to include the entire, every part of the date. It's just going to roll up to a specific part. So if I were to click in a year here, not really a great example, but you see how it turns into green. That means it's continuous. So for instance, let's go to like a month. This is a good example here. It is showing November 2013. That just, or November, January 2014, February 2014, March 2014. That is still taking all of those individual parts and just aggregating them up to the month, which in this case in my hover is March. So you can expand those out more. Now we're on our individual weeks. You can expand that out more. And now we're on individual days. Or you can go ahead and roll those back up as well too. So those are continuous, which is why they're green, which just means that it has all the individual dates and date parts underneath, hidden behind, and just aggregated up to a month or a day or something like that, which is why it says month here, it says May 2015, or you can do month here and it's just May. Does that make sense, kind of the difference between those two panes here as far as the discrete and continuous functions? Cool. Probably should have covered that earlier because I've answered a lot of questions about that. But it was the topic for tonight. So update for next year, cover those sooner. So for this example, let's go ahead and just choose our year here. And then let's go ahead and bring order date over again. And let's change this from quarter to be month. So now we have our years on top, we have our months on bottom. And nothing in the rows. So let's go ahead and bring in sales over to our rows. So we're going to make a little sales analytics pane type thing to look at sales a bunch of different ways. So just like before, when we had hovered over our quick table calculations, these bottom 4 were kind of grayed out. These only are options when you have dates involved. And typically you're gonna need a year involved because a lot of them were year to date or year over year and things like that. So if you're just looking at 1 year, they won't work. But if you have a year and then either a month or a day or whatever you want to compare it to, these will pop up. So we're gonna go ahead and do all 4 of them. So luckily we won't have to do that annoying table view where you have to drag sales up every time. Let's go ahead and just drag sales to our rows 5 different times. So this is how we're gonna start. We're gonna keep the first one exactly as is. So all this is showing is just March 2014, the years 2014, the sales, 55,000, so on and so forth. The second one, we're going to click into here and go quick table calculation and do year-to-date growth. So year-to-date growth is essentially just a fancy way of saying a running total, which we covered before, but it's going to reset at the beginning of every year. So we have 14,000 coming in January. It's going to start with that, and then another 4,000 the next month. Here you can see we have 14,000. We add up that 4,000 to get to 18,000, so on and so forth. So this is our year-to-date growth for our sales for every single year that's up here.
You said it was, sorry, go ahead.
Mine's got in the same difference.
I did too.
You understand?
Mine did too.
I think everything's.
What is it?
The same difference when I put the, when I put the.
It's just messed up.
Huh. That is really interesting.
I got your graph when we did year-to-date total.
Oh, rather than growth.
Yeah, rather than growth.
Did mine say growth?
I think growth was the bottom and total was the first one.
Huh. That is really interesting. So for people online, I clicked the first one here, which is year-to-date total. The first one on literally everybody else's laptop other than mine was year-to-date growth.
No, I
No,
think you
you
just
said
verbally
growth.
said growth.
Oh, I
But you
said it?
clicked
You
growth,
said
growth.
yeah.
That's a really easy problem to solve. I thought Tableau was different. It'd be a much bigger problem. Okay, I apologize. Year-to-date total is what I meant to say. And that's going to
Gotcha.
give us the running sum option here. So let's just go ahead and click into that. We're going to do it as we go here. And how do we? Oh, so before we edited the alias, right now, since this is our axis label, we're going to double click and it will give us the axis title. Let's just change this to YTD for year to date, total, not growth. And then see over on our marks pane, we've talked about this a few times before, but the first time we've ever had 5 of them up here. We essentially have 5 different sub things to mess around with. Our first one is all, we don't want to mess with all of them. Our second one is just sales, we're going to keep that as is. So we're going to click into the one we just changed, which had that little triangle beside it, which means that it has a quick table calc on it. And let's just go ahead and make this a slightly different color, just so we can kind of keep track of which ones we've done and not. So it should say year-to-date total and be something other than blue. Cool. All right, our next one. So we're on the third little pill now. Quick table calculation. We're going to do compound growth rate. So I admittedly, every year taught this, which is 2 years, Google compound growth rate before. I'm not an investment banker and I don't necessarily understand what it means. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time elaborating on it. If any of you know what the compound growth rate is and want to teach the class, feel free. But literally this is as much as I know about it. Let's get rid of Tableau. Well, one, I'll show you this. If we wanted to create it using a calculated field instead of the quick table calc, this would be our formula to type it in, which is why we use quick table calcs and not calculated fields, because I don't know what that means. But the compound growth rate is annual growth rate of an investment over a specified period of time longer than 1 year. If you have any further questions, don't ask me. So we'll change this to be growth rate. And we're going to change this to another different color. All right, 2 down, 2 to go. So we'll click into our third one here. Quick table calculation. This is going to be year-over-year growth. So this is what it's going to be looking at is as of January, comparing it to January the previous year, and letting us know if it is higher or lower. So we'll mess with our tooltip in a bit here to make this look better. But that is let's see which one is that? I should have done these as I was going. Let's go ahead and do these. So I backspaced out the one we just did, the back button. I'm going to go in and update our tooltips first, just so we can kind of keep track of which are which. This is a perfect example of when you want to update your tooltips, because I don't know what these words mean in this order. So let's just call the second one here, the first one here, year to date total. And then the percent difference sales from the first to long order date, whatever that means. We're going to call this our compound growth rate. Now I'm going to go in and update this fourth pill here to be year-over-year growth. It doesn't automatically pull in, which is a great learning experience for all of us. So if I had messed up and I went ahead and updated my tooltip like we just did, it doesn't automatically pull in, which is fine. We can just go into update it again and call it year-over-year growth. And then just like we've done before, you go into the insert button here. And it's going to give us 2 options, which is annoying. Oh wait, no. Cancel. Sorry, I'm confusing myself. Okay, so we do need to go in total year-over-year growth. Insert that first one. This one's not right. All right, maybe it was right by default. Do you guys have this difference in sum of sales with the little 2 behind it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's in my compound growth rate, though.
You don't have one that says sales
Yes.
with the 2 behind it?
The one with the 2 behind it is in my compound growth rate.
gotcha.
Yeah,
Well-
I have each one, they're just in their own categories.
Okay. Well, when in doubt, which is what I'm gonna do, and we're gonna come back to this. If you ever just want to, if like right now, I got confused by my tooltip, I can just hit this reset button and it's gonna toss everything back as it was before. So let's go ahead and finish building these out and then we'll go and fix our tooltip at the end because I got confused. So it still has the annoying labels in there, but at least we have everything shown right now. So let's go ahead and change this label again. This one's gonna be year-over-year growth. And then we'll change the color to something slightly different. Red. And then the very last one, we're going to go in with table calculation, and this is going to be year-to-date growth. So the difference between our year-over-year growth is this is just gonna be, the year-over-year growth is gonna be looking at just this month compared to that same month in the prior year. So we'd be looking at March 2015 to March 2014, March 2016 to March 2015, so on and so forth. The year-to-date growth is gonna be looking at the difference in our year-to-date totals. So instead of just what we were in September, it's gonna look at just year-to-date, how much we had made as of September in 2015, and compare that to how much we had made in September of 2014. So if we rename this one year-to-date growth, we now have year-over-year growth, which is just gonna be looking at these individual months year-over-year. And year-to-date is gonna be doing kind of a combination of the year-to-date totals and looking at those year-over-year. Okay. Now, maybe it's a good thing that I got confused the first time because I think I changed my mind on how I want to do these tooltips. I think it's kind of confusing when it's showing all 5 totals, no matter which one you hover over. Let's change it to just show the calculation of the table you're in the tooltip. So to do that, instead of going before we went to the all and updated the tooltip for all of them, we're gonna go into each individual one now and update each of those tooltips. So the first one is just sum of sales. So we are showing sum of sales. Maybe we can just do this. Hold on, let me try something. Okay, I think we are gonna have to update them. So let's just make sure that we know sales is easy, running someone is easy. The tricky ones are the percent differences. So this one is going to be, let's just work our way down the list. Sum of sales, easy. Let's pop that up there. The running someone is also easy. Let's pop that up there and call that year-to-date total. All right, 2 down. The percent difference in running sum is going to be our year-to-date growth. 760. So percent difference in running sum of sales, which makes sense. This is our year-to-date growth. And then this one is 27. So the percent difference from the first is going to be our compound growth rate. And the percent difference in sales from previous, which makes sense. I just read these words, we probably could have figured that out. So from previous is going to be our year-over-year growth. And then percent difference from the first is going to be our compound growth. Questions? I'll come around and help with those.
Yeah.
Okay. So that one is going to be your compound growth rate.
This one?
Whoops, sorry. Is it?
This year-to-date group.
Yep. Yeah. From first is going to be your compound growth rate. And then from previous year is going to be your year-over-year growth. Got them all on this?
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
We're good. Oh, gotcha. Cool, so that is about it. I'll probably go in, hide the field labels, double click into these, get rid of the axis tiles. And then this is our sales, sliced 5 different ways. It took us a bit to get there, but we got there. I would say never use the compound growth rate, I don't, but the year-to-date totals, year-to-date growth, year-over-year growth is definitely something I use quite a bit, trying to analyze data spanning multiple years. So good to get a good holistic picture of those. I would definitely never toss them all onto a single dashboard like this. But for the sake of examples and practice, I think this does a really good job of showing the versatility into some of those calculated fields. Any questions on either the date stuff or the pane stuff that we did before? Cool. Let's use the next 30 minutes then, or longer if you guys want, to build out our own daily tracker, or whatever you guys want to call it. If you want to just use a silly example, feel free and build that out. If you want to do something that you actually think you'll use on a day-to-day basis, even better. But for the sake of the homework, it does not matter. Just create, if you can use Google Drive, create a Google Sheet, let's do that. And let me know if you have questions. I can walk around with you and set up. If you want to just connect it to your own Excel or Numbers, I think is the Mac version of that, feel free. Yeah, we'll spend 30 minutes on that. If you guys have questions, let me know. I'll walk around. As always, publish to Tableau Public, shoot me the link, and we will go through those examples to start our next class on Wednesday. That's all I got.
So Charlie, when we create our own drive, or when we hook it up to Google Sheets,
Yep.
do we have to designate a drive, or can we designate a file in the drive?
We should be able to do either or.
Okay. Just to know if, like, it's kosher to just make a file, put the folder I want into it, and then hook it up to that file.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if I were doing it from scratch, I would probably create my own folder in there and call it like data viz examples, and then toss it
Gotcha.
there just so it's kind of isolated to that folder. Probably the best file structure default.
Gotcha.
you say if there are any particular requirements for the tracker sheet that we're making?
Have I?
Yeah,
No, whatever you want.
but it has to just be something that like we'll be updating often to see how it,
I would say, yeah,
okay.
updating or adding to, but as far as like what you want the chart to look like or what you want the data to be, completely up to you. I think I had some examples. Getting started if you're curious. These are all pretty bad examples, but this is what I had in PowerPoint. It's kind of a twofold assignment, I would say. One is like connecting the data a different way than we have been is good practice. But what I noticed when I was doing this, especially last year, not so much this year, is like it really forces you to think about what the data will look like in Tableau. And like up till this point, we've been stuck with whatever the data looks like that we pull in. And sometimes it's really frustrating to get the types of charts that we want to do. Here we have the freedom to create whatever data we want to make it really easy to work with in Tableau. And you'll definitely find yourself being like, oh, well, this will be annoying if I structure it this way, or this will be hard to show whatever chart I want to do. So it also kind of forces us to think through what the end goal will look like as we're building out the data. So feel free to take some liberties and pull in whatever you want that you think will be easy to work with in Tableau.
And then like the one you were doing before that was like a task tracker.
Mhm.
You did like a 1 in the completed, is that for like true versus false or?
I did that just because it was super easy to do. You could actually go ahead and make it true, false, or XO or anything like that.
Okay,
What I like about using ones and zeros for true or false, especially in Tableau, is if you wanted to say how many total tasks that I completed, it's easy to just take the sum of the one to show like a total task completed, total last name, or something like that. I also think it'd be cool if anyone's still trying to think of ideas, like something involving a date, like maybe what does my next 7 days look like, so you can kind of see that trended over time. Budgets are always a good one. I'm actually gonna go ahead and make one too while I'm standing up here. So what I'm gonna be building out, so I'm currently training for a marathon, and I use this handy little app called Runkeeper. It does not sponsor us, so no free shout outs, but this app keeps track of all your activities, and it has like the date, the time, total miles. I think this would be super cool to see visualized over time. Am I getting faster? Am I able to run longer? So I'm gonna spend 5 minutes here and just jot down all the raw data from this app, pull it into an Excel, and then I'll start updating this as I go and have kind of a marathon tracker, as it were. Maybe put some goal lines in there.
Charlie, can I borrow you really quickly?
Yep.
I'm gonna try and connect it to
Mhm.
the Google Drive, right?
Yep.
I guess it is going in. That's why. Guess I'll try it.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes the authentication thing takes a second.
It just, yeah, it threw me off. Window to authenticate is not safe to close. Got it.
So after I make it, the data, I go to share it.
Okay. And then go into Tableau.
I share
No, you don't have to. Yeah. Yeah, the only reason I shared was just so you guys could all add to it, but since you're gonna be the only one updating that, you're good to just keep it as is.
Oh, that's cool.
So I like to hear.
It's like, oh, I know exactly how I'm gonna implement this.
Issue.
Yeah, so like something I'm trying to do here. And then you can maybe even like create a calculated field, it's like if actual cal greater than cal little than green, else red or something like that, you can come back here red. It would also be cool to see adjustments. Something very similar to this. So you can see here that the number of steps you take is really correlated with, obviously, the number of calories you burn. It's actually so in here, each bubble here is a date, the number of calories burned here, the number of steps taken here. Correlated it is with number of calories and steps. So those are a couple things, but feel free to play around with some other stuff.
I'm struggling with something. Okay, so currently I am in a 430K.
Okay.
So these are the old ones.
Yeah.
These are church availability. And I can't figure out that.
Okay.
The way we asked is kind of weird.
Right, where they're different columns.
Yeah.
So there's a couple different ways. This is like a good example of those things end up like creating the data forces you to think about how to be the best in Tableau. Because the easiest way Tableau is like stuff long instead of wide. I think we talked about with your
Yeah.
the data set you're working last time with different questions. So like if you have these same people, it's like shirt number 1 sizes, and then shirt number 2 sizes, then you can obviously just aggregate one column there and do the counts. But if you want to keep it this way, I'd probably just create calculated fields and do like an if statement.
Okay.
So like if shirt number 1 equals n, then return 1 is 0, and that would be called like number of medium shirts.
Okay.
That makes sense. Give that a try.
Okay.
I slacked off on tracking my food for a long time, and I'm like, okay, this would be a good way for me to like get back on it again. So I'm just gonna track like protein for it. But,
Oh, yeah.
so yeah, I just connected it in. Right.
Yep. Okay. You did.
Oh, I can. So, okay.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Like that a lot. Good job. That's actually something in the way. And then we were just going to create a statement for this about the world since you don't really data. Here. So it goes up with that. And then in the raw data that we generate, instead of just listening to like actual dates in there, then you can see like we go week, year over year, month over month, see if they're like less or greater or more on average or something like that. Yeah. Right on the journal. Yeah, that's perfect. Actually, is it the same thing to create the data, like a date column?
Yeah, I just added that, and I was like, wait, I think I need a date, and then, so I did just add that.
Perfect.
Okay, and I saved it, so then to refresh it, I did this, but it didn't do anything yet. Maybe it just. I guess it was just. That's right, that's where that was.
There you go.
There.
It's weird that it didn't work the other way, because that would be my first try. So it's,
Terribly.
oh, no.
I gave up.
Okay.
Yeah, I was, so if I do that, then, okay, so.
Well, let me actually try to do this, the way this is structured, get out of this. Yeah. This is. Yeah, I don't know if there'd be a better way than just doing that.
So if we switch it to a table, so here are all the accounts. But the table calculator based on one outputs of one word.
Right. Should be. Oh, sure. This is just for sure. I'd probably do the F statement.
So I think that if statements are so close to Excel,
Mhm.
I'm very used to Excel.
Yeah, so no parentheses. If you're sure one.
And single pose L. And then going to enter L or EL. Sure, 2 equals. Yeah. And then enter them in. Let's call this like and then oh, so, after each one of those, just put then one, two, and then go to so then if you do the same thing and you just copy and paste that, change the L's to okay. You can change those snaps. And then when you do their table, and just here. Drag it through all things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will that be at the individual level too? Okay,
Yes.
awesome, thank you.
Sure.
Include use of the term level. Oh, slow. Okay. Well, let's get some more.
I'll make this calculation.
Okay.
And it's an extra.
Okay. Go ahead and click into the arrow and that. There we go. There's more. Okay. So. Oh, okay. This is countable. It's true. This is there's more about 250. And here's the row. And then two for this next week. But if you want to bring in some constant line, so you had that field that had the caliber, which is 250 all the way across. Actually, you should be able to do it.
to.
Makes sense?
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, you too. So this is our, now we have our two different measures up here. So the actual cows, we're gonna color that based on that field you just created. And then we pulled in the cow goal so that we could get that line all the way across. And then we just made it a dual axis like we had it before. And we just had to remove the color from back. So we found the colors missing. Yeah. No, I like that a lot.
Good night.
Yep, you too.
Bye.
I'm the last one.
No rush.
I'm almost done. I used my husband's Gmail so that I could connect to the live
Okay.
source, which means that he has to just verify his account
I
again.
like I like it.
good workaround.
I was like, I doubt he has any, data in there that's private. One's paying attention to this one. Hi, will you tap 75 really quick? Oh, awesome. Thank you. Yes, now tap 27. It took you too long. So I'm trying to tie into a live data set, so I'm using the full RSVPs. But when you give Tableau access to your drive, you give access to your entire drive, and I have some client data on my drive. So I did not want to do that, so I just shared the full stuff with you and then, tied it to your drive. But that was the last thing I needed to do. So, and I'm the last one here, so I'm gonna bounce. Sorry to be rushy.
Hey Carmen, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly on Slack and we can talk from there. Otherwise, see you on Wednesday.